of the Ministry of External Affairs. For reasons that I will dwell upon, it will be even more so in the times to come. Let us start with talent. At our current stage of development, there are two realities that stand out. One, that in the past, we have not developed and therefore not leveraged our human resources to the extent we could and should have. And the other, that it is not feasible for India to develop rapidly by emulating the pathway of other successful Asian economies that preceded it in the last few decades. The drivers of our growth are different, as is indeed the landscape, and I would argue the strategy. It is this awareness that has contributed, amongst others, to the government's approach towards a Viksit Bharat. Now, all of us are familiar with a wide range of initiatives and programs that have targeted the socio-economic welfare domain in the last decade. They start with child and maternal health, immunization, school admission and retention, access to electricity, piped water and roads, and move on to nutrition, to housing, to health coverage, and to support for entrepreneurships at different scales. These are supplemented by making it easier to do business, by improving the ease of living, by building a modern, accessible, and affordable infrastructure, expanding skills and education capacity, and promoting make, design, innovate, and research in India. I sum it up in this manner because typically we are used to looking at each of these aspects in their particular silos. But if you consider the cumulative impact of all these developments, it is clear that we have now entered a cycle of sustainable talent creation on a major scale in this country. The issue then arises as to how that talent is nurtured, how it is expanded, deployed, and upgraded. Much of that obviously has to happen at home, and this has its own debates and discussions, including how best we accelerate manufacturing, whether technology can be generated without deepening our industrial culture, the optimization of agriculture and food processing, the support for self-employment, startups and innovation, and not least, the vistas opened up by our digital and AI future. Now, in all of that, and does play a role, foreign investment, collaboration and trade are some of the noteworthy dimensions. Outsourcing, understandably, also got its fair share of attention. More recently, there is, I would say, greater interest in the growth of global capability centers, GCCs, in India that take the quality of economic activity to a much higher level. However, while recognizing the value of all these endeavors, it is necessary that we also pay greater attention to opportunities beyond our borders. And the reason for that is the emergence of the global workplace with a global workforce. These are phenomena spurred by sharp demographic changes, demands of new technologies and their diffusion, compatibilities in culture and work ethos, as well as the premium put on trust and resilience in many fields. Each of these are an outcome of a particular trend in world affairs, whether it is social habits accompanying development, the impact and deployment of creative products and services, sharper strategic competition among major powers, or the insecurities from the COVID experience. Now, we are gathered here, all of us, to explore the opportunities for Indian talent in such a scenario. And I truly believe that these are significant enough to warrant greater attention and effort from all of us. There are currently roughly about 34 million Indians and PIOs living and working abroad. About half of them, again that's a very approximate figure, half of them are our citizens. Perhaps a third are located in the Gulf, and the rest of them are spread across other geographies, mostly developed economies. However, given the trends that I spoke about, the possibility of expanding that even in the near term is very serious. Bear in mind that we Indians have also developed by now a strong history of employment exploration abroad. Obviously, we are not unique in this regard, but nevertheless, we are unusual in that this has been sustained over several generations to differing regions at various levels of skills. As a result, there is the techie, the entrepreneur, and the professional in the United States, the blue collar and the service provider in the Gulf, the self-employed and the agri sector in Europe and North America, as well as the scientists and researchers in so many other countries. Moreover, many global professions like seafaring, airlines, and the hospitality sector have already tapped into our human resources pool in a significant level. That there are so many students abroad is also a factor, as they often transition into jobs. Economies like Australia or Germany have seen a significant increase of working Indians in the last few years. Through migration and mobility partnerships, as well as specialized skilled workers agreements with 22 nations, we have created a pathway as well as a brand. Now, let me emphasize that these are not hypothetical possibilities or even prospects that are somewhere on the horizon. The need for talent abroad is a situation that is actually upon us today. Let me give you some concrete examples. Only yesterday, and the Japanese ambassador is sitting here before me, the Speaker of Japan was here to advocate an action plan that would create a concrete and predictable flow of Indian skills to his country. It would help take forward the SSW, the Specialized Skilled Workers Agreement, that we had concluded a few years ago. Let me give you another. Israel, as an example, where there is already a flow of workers in different domains. Mauritius has a similar demand and has concluded an understanding with us. Malaysia has opened up many more sectors to Indian skills, especially construction. We have been traditionally a source country for Singapore, and their requirement will upgrade even as their economy does. The German Chancellor was here last October, and he spoke of increasing the employment visas for Indians by 4x. My counterparts in Italy, and again I note the ambassador here before me, in Italy, in Spain, in Austria, in Greece, have all shown appetite to tap into our human resources pool as urgently and effectively as possible. This, I emphasize, is just the tip of the iceberg, and we must prepare for what is below the waterline. My short point is that there is a demand in the world, an availability in India, and the basic groundwork done to enable Indian talent to gain global access is there. Now, how well they do that and what will be the scale, I think that is up to us. Having just come from the Waves gathering in Mumbai, where the orange economy of culture, creativity, and identity was explored, I am tempted to continue this presentation with a further metaphor of colors. So let me start with the green and the brown economies, with their associated infrastructure as a good place to begin. They will clearly coexist for some time to come, but each will become smarter and infuse newer technologies. They will require a wide spectrum of talent that will grow both in size and complexity. We have already witnessed in the Gulf increasing demand for such human resources. I should add, by the way of example, that today, if one looks as to where Indian nationals live and work, the two largest economies are not the US and UK as people typically think. They are actually UAE and Saudi Arabia. That there is an infrastructure surge in India adds to the experience and capabilities of our corporates and of our personnel. In some sectors like renewable energy, water or power transmission, our people are already securing openings by their track record at home. This applies to the managerial as well as the working levels. At a time when our engineering and vocational training institutions are growing rapidly, the ability to address this market has actually improved. But again, it is the connect to the employment space through networking and customizing the workforce, which is the challenge that must be addressed. So let me now move to the white and silver economies. And they are experiencing an even more acute shortage of trained personnel. In many developed societies, health demands are rising even as the local talent pool is shrinking. Innovative practices and new technologies can only partially fill that gap. As our own medical and nursing schools expand, these possibilities can be more effectively exploited. Particularly in these sectors, there is a strong cultural and linguistic element for which we need to cater. There are then an assorted mix from the orange and the gold to the blue and the green that will clearly benefit from greater digitization. So too will other domains in an era of all-encompassing change. Such times will require not only new mindsets and frameworks, but also the accompanying mobility and interactions. We have already seen the semiconductor and emerging technology projects all over the world slow down because of inadequate availability of talent. Some countries have a history of addressing such situations. Others are now getting into that game. And what I do want to say is that similarly, global service sectors like shipping, airlines, and hospitality are today struggling with post-COVID challenges, including attitude towards work demands. So all of this today really opens up new opportunities for those more willing. There is naturally the issue of how we adjust to the demands of the global workplace to optimize benefits. Conceptually, it is vital that we promote legal mobility and strongly discourage, I would argue even prohibit, non-legal ones. The challenge of the black economy has to be faced from the viewpoint of the talent flow, our societal good, as well as of national security. Currently, mobility is largely regulated by the Immigration Act 1983, which was designed to address the demands of a particular geography in a certain era. However, times have changed and our vistas have expanded. We need to be more promotional and aware of new possibilities, even while taking care of the vulnerable. This issue is currently being examined by the government. It is natural that as more Indians travel abroad, that the expectations they have of their government are carried with them. The last decade has brought up numerous situations where evacuation operations had to be undertaken. But even as a routine exercise, our citizens legitimately expect, to be backed up in difficult situations. It may be a quick replacement of a lost passport, or the predicament of those who are not paid their wages or mistreated by their foreign employers. It can be cultural situations where the rights of Indians are not adequately respected. These baskets of issues have gained salience in our diplomatic endeavors, from establishing an effective grievance portal to creating a responsive fund for the needs of the vulnerable. We have sought to institutionalize and to routinize taking care of Indians abroad. It is only then that they will have the confidence to fully explore the global workplace. Friends, our government today has initiated a range of skills training, vocational education, and professional preparation efforts for the Indian workforce to be more productive in the contemporary era. However, the magnitude of opportunities before us are so large that it takes a whole of the nation approach to be fully realized. This is an effort in which the contribution of every stakeholder is valuable and welcomed. As we contemplate our engagement with the world, as India moves up to become the third largest economy, much of this will be people-centric. Our talents and our skills will not only be a resource we have to bring to the table, but will be very much part of our branding and of our reputation. A more interdependent and technology-driven world, with all its challenges and needs, will only put a greater premium on it. It is up to us to make the most of these times, and we look forward to working with you in that regard. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar, for your leadership and your commitment to expanding global avenues for Indian youth. We are now delighted to welcome Shri Jayant Chaudhary for a fireside chat with Mr. Manish Sabharwal. And we will then pick up on the topics that you mentioned, sir, on talent readiness and skilling. Thank you so much, sir.